Dear viewers, before we begin, let's all close our eyes, take a deep breath, and let's chant Om. 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 Namaste. Namaste, dear all. Welcome to Life Management Yoga Center's Global Yoga Fans online platform to celebrate the 25th year in Hong Kong. My name is Diva Chugani, and I have just graduated from the Life Management Yoga Center 500 Hours Teachers Training course. Prior to having yoga in my life, I was a very stressed person on auto mode. Yoga education has been the reason for my life journey being smoother and more beautiful than ever before. The Life Management Yoga Center, known as LMYC Hong Kong, was founded in 1998. It is a non-profit yoga center and is accredited with the internationally acclaimed Yoga Alliance USA and Ayush Ministry of India. LMYC Hong Kong is affiliated to the Prime Minister award-winning The Yoga Institute in India, chaired by the revered Dr. Hansaji Jayadeva Yogendra. Having interviewed her last month on this very platform, today we are very grateful to have with us our very own Hong Kong yogini and the very enigmatic, revered NALANIE HARILELA CHELLARAM. Welcome, Nalini ji.
Namaste, Diva. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Great, great. Namaste, namaste, namaste.
So before we ask you a few questions, I'd just like to proceed and explain to our dear viewers a bit about you, because there's so much to share, but just going to put it in a nutshell before we go into the interview mode. Award-winning Nalini ji, daughter of Dada George Harilela, who graced the opening ceremony of LMYC in 2001, is indeed very enigmatic. She is a very well-known international and motivational speaker and has authored several books on yoga. She's honored by Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and the recipient of the Humanitarian Award from the Satchidananda Ashram in Yogaville, Virginia, USA, as well as the Mayor's Award for Service to Community. NALANIE G is a globe-trotting spiritual teacher where she promotes the pillars of love and compassion. As the founder of Integral Yoga Center in Gibraltar and the George Harilela Hall Center in Sota Grande, Spain, in her own words, NALANIE G has taught literally hundreds of Hatha Yoga teachers and spearheaded many charitable initiatives, raising funds for causes in various countries. She is a special advisor to the Business Innovation Leaders Forum. Also, an accredited therapist under the British School of Yoga. She is adept in counseling, especially with the youth of today and adults. Issues such as fear, anxiety, depression, addictions, and obsessions are just a few of the issues that NALANIE G deals with. Without further ado, I am extremely excited to proceed on to interviewing our superwoman, NALANIE G. Namaste.
Namaste. That was really, thank you. You've really done a lot of research. Thank you. I like to introduce myself truthfully and simply as just a simple soul who really loves God. And that is the truth. That is the truth.
I was just going to ask you if you wanted to add on to that, and you've summed it up so beautifully.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not that easy because my view of God is so different from what it was so many years ago. My view of God is like Ishwara, omnipresent, omniscience, everywhere. The light within you, the light within me, the light within everything, the consciousness. So, yeah, frequency, light, it's just totally changed with yoga. It's changed my concept completely.
Amazing. So NALANIE G, we are so excited to hear how you started your yoga journey and how did you get into this path of yoga? When was the earliest you started this journey?
Well, that's a big question.
Instead of asking how old you were.
That's I started with my dad, my father, George Harilela, which you showed so beautifully there. My dad. I mean, he was really one of a kind. When I was a child, I always would say to him, Dad, I'd love to be like you when I grow up. I'd love to be like you. And then at the age of 5, Swami Satchidananda walked into our home in Hong Kong, and he used to visit every year. Fast forward, life happens, you become a teenager, you go to uni, and then I met my husband in Hong Kong and got married and moved to Gibraltar. So the change for me from, the high life in Hong Kong to a very simple life in Gibraltar in those days. The frontier was closed. I'd just come out of university. There was not much, and the business wasn't doing well at all. So I felt like I was Cinderella for a little while. But with that came a little bit of anger, discontent, things that I never really carried in my heart prior to that. And kind of like always, oh, I wish I could go back to Hong Kong. My life was so, great there. Until one day I realized I just couldn't, I loved my husband, I had my kids. I even ran a dance school, like I told you. And everything was right, but why wasn't I still happy? And then my knees went bad, and my children went to boarding school in England. And then the big question, like we all ask, what is life all about? If there is a God, where are you? And of course, the saying, When the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I threw a tantrum one afternoon, didn't go into work. And I said, if there is a God, show your face. I literally said that. And the very next day, Sri Swami Satchidananda called me from the States. Nalani, I'm going to Zinal for a peace conference. Should I come and see you in Gibraltar? So I go, yes, Swamiji. Close the phone, call mum. Mum, how do I look after a guru? and and
Sorry to interrupt, Nalin. Could you tell us about how old were you when you got married and when you got this calling from?
okay, I was 20
Okay.
when I got married. My first child, 21, second, 23. The calling came at 33, 10 years later. 10 years later. And yeah, and then he did come. And like when you're in the presence of any great master,
Yes.
you see everything so differently. Really, it's darshan. They shine a light on you. And so I had quite a few visions while he was talking, while he was moving, many realizations. And 1 week later, when he left, I said, my life can never be the same. Again, it just can't. What do I do with it now?
You felt a transformation of some kind taking place in you?
Total transformation. Total. I mean, it was like boom, 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 like layers came off, literally. And he said, he just gave me very simple instructions. And today I tell all my students and clients just the same words, really. He said, stop complaining. Love where you are. Meditate. When you are ready, God will use you. And he said, purify the mind, those 5 things.
Okay.
So that was the instruction.
Sorry, so you said meditation, purify the mind,
Stop complaining.
planning.
Love where you are. When you are ready, God will use you. So that was like, how do I meditate? I asked him. He said, you've read enough books.
You've read the books.
And the truth is, I read so much because I loved reading, I love learning. Yes, I read all the books on meditation, meditation with Ram Dass, etc., all the books, but then I didn't meditate, did I?
The
So
practical aspect. Yeah.
practice. So I went home the very next day, determined that I wanted to live a good life. I really wanted to be a good person, and fixed myself a little tiny table because we lived in a small apartment then, and made a little altar that I moved to wherever I needed to in the apartment. And when my husband was home, when the kids were home, so I'd have my space. Never looked back since then. It just carried on, and that's when my journey started. Really dedicated service into yoga. But I was a baby in those days. There was a lot to learn. Still is.
So you're saying that when you had this calling when you were 33, that your life changed and you went into a discipline mode for meditation. You did it practically and you practiced it diligently every day, and you've been doing it till today.
Correct. I have not missed one day. I made a firm promise because you need the dedication. I'd read enough books, like he said, nothing else worked, nothing else that I tried worked.
Yes.
So it was changing the mind.
Yes.
And he said, purify the mind, which was the magic. And a
Yes.
few years later, when I read the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, it was
Yes.
all about changing the thought pattern. And it was then very simple. As you think, you become. So I automatically learned to watch my thoughts. And of course, when you first start meditating, what comes up? All the things that you don't like in your life, right? And then I heard myself saying, I don't like this and I don't like that, and this is not right, and complaining about people who had hurt me. And I go, no wonder I'm miserable.
Right. Wow. And you were becoming more and more aware of
Oh,
this?
right away. Yes, right away. So I started doing some practices.
So apart from meditation, what other practices were you engaging in?
Well, for the first 6 months, it was basically just meditation. And then all of a sudden, and I was working on my own, really. There was nobody in Gibraltar at that time. And I was like thinking, I used to call my master once a month. And so I was working on my own, just changing my mind. And it was one day I had this thing, I need a mantra. I don't know why. I just felt, I need a mantra, I need a mantra, I need a mantra. And then again, miracle of miracles, I had a dream 6 months later, and the dream was my master appeared to me saying, Nalani, I'm going to give you a mantra. So I wake up at 10 to 7, our local time, 10 to 1 USA time in the morning. I'm telling my husband this dream. I tell him everything. He thought I was a bit kooky, but I've always been a bit out of the box. My kids always tell me that. So I told him this dream, and he laughed. The phone rang at 10 to 7, and it was Swami Satchidananda. And he said, Are you ready for your mantra? Do you have a paper and a pen? Got the mantra written down. Good night, Nalani. Close the phone. That was it.
How
Was
cool is that? That's
super cool.
telepathy right there, happening through your dreams.
Yeah. Well, I get a lot of messages in dreams, though, since I was a little girl, but I always thought that everybody did. I always thought, when I did the dancing choreography, I'd see the whole thing in my head. And you're a dancer, so you
I,
can, you know that vision, you see it. There's a picture, already you can see the tapestry, and all you need to do now is fill it in.
yes, yes,
Well, I could see that.
see that. And so what changes within yourself have you seen the transformations, further transformations that have taken place until now?
Well, the changes was basically, first of all, the first job, clean the mind stuff. How to do that? I learned forgiveness was the biggest thing. Forgive, and then master the words that come out of your mouth. Watch them. Uh, and hold back with pratyahara, the practice of pratyahara. And then obviously for me, the biggest breakthrough was, like I said, the Raj Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, when I realized there was the map on how to quiet the mind. And when I read Sutra 28, Book 2, by the practice of the 8 limbs of yoga, the impurities dwindle away, and there dawns the light of wisdom. Where does it dawn from? Ourselves, leading to discriminative discernment. And so there came the start of the practice of the 8 limbs of yoga: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and then finally samadhi, as you know well, right?
Sure.
And so that's what happened for 5 years. And then I went on a retreat with my master. He called me one day again. I'm going to be in Portugal giving a retreat. Can you come to Portugal? And I can't believe, because I was working the shop, looking after my kids, and saying, Gurudev, I don't think I can come to Portugal. He said, You come. So my husband at that time said, Don't worry, I'll drive you there. In those days, it took 9 hours to get there by car. Nowadays, it's 4. So I went, and again, another awakening. And the second big, huge lesson was forgiveness.
Mm,
Forgiveness. Forgive everything. Forgive everything. You cannot move forward without forgiveness. And I tell many of the clients I see today, you have to let go. And it's not easy. That's why we have all the yogic practices. That's what they're for. That to help us stable, still the body, because the body is gross, so we can work on that easily. And that's where we do the asanas, right? So
yes.
you work on the gross. And then you work on the mind. And then it's much easier. So that's where you have affirmations. But affirmations on their own don't really function if you don't believe them. Yes, they're better than nothing, but
Yes.
you really have to live the affirmations. So, for example, somebody came in the other day complaining, a client came in, oh, Nelly, my life is so sorrowful, da, 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 I'm so depressed. So I look at him and I go, yes, but you come here because you're tired of being depressed, aren't you? And he goes, had it, I've been to psychologists for 10 years. So I said, look at your body, look at your words that you are saying. I don't like my life, I don't like this. I said, have you heard of this saying, as the mind, so the man? So he goes, yeah, I heard it. So I said to him, look at your mind.
Mhm.
Look at every single sentence you are saying. I'm not happy. The world is bad. Everybody is bad. I'm angry. Look at your language. So it was really funny, Diva. I told stand up. He said, what do you mean? I said, stand up, simply. So he stood up. And then I said, say, I love my life. And he said, I can't do it. I'd be a liar.
Yeah, I have had clients like that too.
I'll be a liar. I said, sometimes we have to a little bit fake it to make it,
Yes.
right? That's the saying. And he
Yeah.
goes, I love my life. I said, come on, act a little. You can act a little. So,
Yes.
okay, I love my life. Come on, one more time. I love my life. Come on, you're strong. You can go all the way up. I love my life. And he giggled.
Oh,
He,
that's a start.
yes,
Breakthrough.
right. That's it. And he saw himself laughing. And I have a little, in my office, I have a little mirror. Above it, I have the word truth. So I take him to the mirror and say, look, you're not that bad. Now
Oh,
let's work.
you're like
And
a
you know,
cheerleader, NALANIE G.
I'm,
You're the
I'm
cutest cheerleader.
thank
Like,
you.
do it. Little more emotion.
Sometimes that's what it takes to break those, according to the yogic system, we have three major blocks in our body called the Grantis, the Brahma Granti, the Vishnu Granti, and the Shiva Granti. And so, of course, knowing all this, I'm not going to tell him that's that. So, where was his pain, for example? His pain was in his heart area. Okay, it went everywhere else as well, but basically here. So, you need the movement to break the physical blocks. Literally, they're physical. And because they're stuck, right? So many years of sadness, as you know all about chakras, they get stuck. And so, how do you unstick it? So, first you use the body, right? And then once you've done the body, then it's easier for them to flow. They're allowed to flow.
Yes.
And then you do the breathing, and then from the breathing, then you talk about the mind stuff when they're a little bit calm, when they're a little bit calm. And so this sometimes it really depends on the person. How much, I always ask them, how much do you want peace?
So the steps you're talking about, they sound like the doshas, the five doshas, right? It starts from the grass, and then it's beautiful how you've layered it, like you said, like an onion.
That's
And for you as
that's
well, that was how it took place, right? It just peeled off. You
just
said
peeled
earlier,
off.
just peeled off.
That's the secret. People, you just do your best.
Yes.
And the more I go into after now 35 years or whatever it is, started 33, I'm 68. Yeah, 35 years.
So young. You look amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So when you work for 35 years, it really becomes simpler in the sense that the teaching is really quite simple. And I think of Master Shivananda's words: serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize, do good, be kind, be compassionate, inquire, who am I, and be free. Do it now.
Thank you. So
Do it.
Nalini ji, I was going to ask you, what is yoga according to you? But I think you've pretty much answered, talking about the Yoga Sutras, talking about the layers, talking about the processes, the 8 yamas, niyamas. Could you give us another example, please? Maybe a personal example, if that's okay with you, about any other moments of your life where you felt vulnerable and yoga came to your rescue?
Oh, I think, yes, there are many, but I think the biggest one, obviously, um, was the passing of my husband 14 years ago. And we were married for 34 years, right? I had done so much counseling with death and dying prior to that. Um, I did not expect to feel the pain the way I did. I really did. I really believe, I really know there's, that we never die, the body dies, but you still have that human connection, that love. And I felt that my soul had split into two. I didn't know who I was. Even though I led my own path and my husband is his, we were very much, me and my kids, because we're four of us here, we didn't have much family, very close unit. And so it was the most painful time. And I don't know what I kept saying to my students and to my family, how do people do it without this spiritual knowledge? How do they get through this pain? Because I was very lucky. I went straight into acceptance. I was very lucky. I knew the pain would last a long time. I was very blessed to know time would be the healer. Because initially, when you go through something like that, everything is dark. There's nothing. I was meditating, there was zero. There was nothing. It was just dark. And I just kept on with the practices anyway. Because I know you have to go through the dark to get the light. And because everything passes. And my mantra from my Catholic school days was, this too shall pass. And of course, then service, right? Service was my thing. A lot of people depended on me in those days. My daughter just had her third child who was special needs. So that teaching again, if I don't heal, how's anybody going to heal? And I wanted to be a monk at that point, but I thought she lost her dad. She's going to lose her mom. How is that yoga? How is that sacrifice? That is selfish because I want to do that. And at this point, we didn't know if our little one was going to live or die. And I must tell you, she's 14 years old now. And she walks and she talks a little. She's definitely great with a computer. And yeah, miracles, all one after the other. All one after the. So yes, that's how it helped in my personal life. And I write in my book, Life Loss, it's right here somewhere, I'll show it to you. Lost, Life, Love. I write the whole story there and how the teaching saw me through.
I'm sure this book and what you've told us right now, it's very healing to a lot of our viewers and readers and audience, because this is one thing I'm sure that you've been hearing a lot. It's the passing over of our loved ones, like you said. Even if we have studied about death and knowing that it's just a transition to go to the real side, the reality of us, even that, in knowing that, it's very challenging for a lot of us to grasp that. So thank you for sharing that, because
Thank you. That's why, it's because it's like Lord Jesus said, no, you are in this world, but not of this world, right? So
yes,
when you're in the world, we have a material body on which certain levels of consciousness exist. So, of course, having a body, the body takes, it's because it's more gross, it takes longer for it to heal. Whereas even though, like you said, exactly, you know it here, but the heart is still there. The heart is still there and it is in the body. So you have to give time. One has to give time. And I knew that. I knew that. And that to me was the greatest gift. And can I tell you something that really, I tell you, when you're on this path and your love is sincere for the divine, and, we're all one, but, I communicated with the divine within me. And I remember through seeing all my clients who had lost their partners, I noticed the 6 week period, the first 6 weeks, the first 4 weeks is they're numb. And then on the 6 week, for some reason, they suddenly feel the pain tremendously, tremendously. Maybe after 6 weeks, you kind of think the person's going to come walk through the door, or there's some miracle and they'll appear to you in a dream, or surely, it's even though you still expect that, right? So 6 weeks onto his passing, after his passing, I just sat in my bed and started crying. And I said, I only want proof that he's okay, that he's okay, that he's okay. If he's okay, I'll be okay. So I went into my bath. I always have a bath whenever I am sad. It's my medicine. I put lavender, frankincense. For me, that's medicine. So I went to bath, and suddenly the bathroom lit up. Lit up. It's inside the house. It's a small apartment I lived in at that time after he passed. There's no windows there. So the whole place just lit up for like 20 minutes. And I knew. From that moment, I just knew after that there is light, and his soul was in light. And then that was a great breakthrough for me. I think when when you really, really understand the dynamics of not only our frequency, but a higher frequency, and when you go through times of pain, as Lord Krishna promises Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, and you just are so devoted, whatever help you need comes to you. It's just the way it is.
We're so blessed when we have these miraculous signs and moments, and
Yes.
the universe showing us again and again
Yes.
that we're connected. Yeah.
Correct. And so many people, now that I do this work, and when people, when they come for a satsang or when they come for the talks, and then when they have their own experience, that's when boom, the faith starts, right? When they experience these things, when they allow themselves to let go of their pain, and Sri Patanjali says in Book 2, Sutra 1, accepting pain for purification, accepting your pain, because there's some reason you're going through it, to purify the mind, or to learn nothing belongs to us is actually the bigger lesson. Nothing is ours, everything is on loan. And then while you're going through the pain, you do swadhyaya, study of spiritual books that elevate you. And finally, Ishvara Pranidhanam, which is surrender. Surrender, just let go, let God.
Yes.
That's it.
So, Nalani ji, you have mentioned about Swami Sachidananda coming to you in your dreams, as well as talking to you on the phone and guiding you physically. Are there any other figures or any other writings besides Yoga Sutra, or anything else, or anybody else that's been an inspiration to you?
Well, I found so many. Master Shivananda. I read Paramahansa Yogananda, Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharishi. I think I read all those books, and they all inspired me. And then for modern psychology, the first one that I thought was really helpful to many people, because you see, a lot of people go into the spiritual path and they're looking for enlightenment, right? Which is great. But they haven't understood their own psychology. So there's still a lot of anger in them, and they think just by knowing the divine word and meditating that they develop all these cities and they're connected to God. So the in between is gone. We need to know ourselves first. We need to know our psychology. We need to know our spiritual psychology. And so, a simple book like You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, many, many years ago, when it first came out, I was the first one of the first ones to buy it in Gibraltar. And I started telling all my clients, read it, all my students, read it, because know your own psychology, what's going on in your mind. I was very lucky to have a spiritual father, right? Who said God is everywhere, God is in everyone. But in many of the cases that I've seen, they didn't have this background. I have seen cases where people have been abused, tied up, given dog food. I've seen the whole spectrum. And so I know for them, it takes a little longer to develop faith. So
Yes.
one has to be really patient, and that's what I ask them to be. And so, yeah, so these are the things that I have, these are the people I have also learned from. Wayne Dyer is another one.
Yes.
So, but most of all, obviously, I think is from watching people.
Okay.
Swami Satchidananda said something to me many, many years ago when I went off frenzy on reading books and healing and all that. And I got a little confused in those days. And I said to him, Gurudev, I'm a little confused. This one talks about the chakras this way, the other one sees it this way, this book says this and that. And he said to me, Nalani, stop reading. I said, what? I love books. Stop reading and study life. So I did. For a year, and maybe more, I stopped reading and I stopped watching.
Within.
I used to spend hours at airports, going to Hong Kong, hours connecting flights, going to the States to see my master, giving retreats. I was giving a lot of retreats in the early days. And so I was many times in airports alone, and I just watched people, I watched their faces. And I could see the unhappiness, the sadness, and those that were happy, you could see there was love, the way they treated their family, the children. Most people were shouting or passing food on their phones. Interesting.
Interesting. Yes. Observing people is very fascinating indeed. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Humans are fascinating.
Amazing. The best school in the world.
Yes.
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 The best
So
school.
Nalini ji, you have 2 children, am I right?
Yes, I have 2 children. I have my daughter, who's Chanel, who's 46. Yeah, she lives here in Spain, 15 minutes away from me. And I have my son, Shaman, married to Harsha in Hong Kong. You know Harsha, she does the Yama
Yes.
Foundation. My son is Shaman. He's in Hong Kong, and they have 2 children. And my daughter has 3 girls, and a girl and a boy. Yeah.
Lovely. And so
Yeah.
having your own family, having young grandkids and seeing them grow and working with so many youth of today, what is it that you've observed? What is it that you're seeing? Is there a trend with them? Um, are you seeing any facets of the youth that you'd like to share with us with this particular population?
Yes, I think this population, this new generation needs a lot of grounding. They're not grounded. Why aren't they grounded? Because they're all into media and social media. And social media used to be what advertising used to be in my day. For example, when I was 18, they would say, oh, smoke a cigarette and, you'll get the cutest guy or you'll get this or the best car. Do you see social media today? The only thing is TV you had to turn on at a certain time. Now, social media is all the time, people on their phones all the time. So, this is causing a lot of anxiety. They're not spending any time with themselves to know how they're feeling, what they're thinking. They're totally driven by what their friends tell them. And, I've had lots of young people see me go into deep, deep depressions because somebody said something on Facebook about them. It's
Yes.
really, and it's all about body consciousness. And I said, yeah, we're nice to keep the body good. It's our tool. It's important to look after our body, but obsession is dangerous. Obsession. And I'm finding that's happening a lot at today's youth. Bringing up my grandchildren, I'm very lucky because both my kids, they love the outdoor life, and they allowed a lot of time for me to spend with my grandkids, telling them stories, and they've seen Granny do yoga since they were little, take them to meditate with me and things like that. But most of all, they loved stories. And still today, my 21-year-old, when she comes back from uni, and she goes, Gran, can I invite my friend to come over and you can tell them some of your yoga stories?
It's the best compliment ever.
Best ever. That's the best ever. You know, and I tell them the stories sometimes about clients, how they change, if I get the client's permission, obviously, but never the names. And then old, Sanskrit stories, you know, about deep, deep morals. The good you do comes back to you, the evil you do stays with you. Good luck, bad luck, who knows? Stories. I love storytelling. Yeah. So yeah, so my grandchildren also gave me the understanding that the householder life, you incorporated yoga into every aspect of your life. Yoga was not just in doing asanas, or it was just not in when you're in a yoga space. Yoga's connection all the time. And I think my grandchildren taught me that because, first of all, they put you in a fabulous, fabulous place of unconditional love. Because responsibility is not yours, really. You just enjoy them. And you're older and wiser, right? So they put you in a space of unconditional love, which helped me to understand the Lord of love, no larger than the thumb, lives in the hearts of all. Upanishads. Deep in the hearts of all, is the light of all lights. Bhagavad Gita. The radiance of Buddha shines everywhere. Buddhism, and that love, that unconditional love, is not a possessive love. It has nothing to do with that. And that takes you to a higher frequency easily. It's like when Swami Satchidananda came for that week, and all the times I spent time with him, immediately I understood darshan. When you're in the light of the master, what shines? The light within you. So they reflect.
Yes.
That's why when people when they're not doing something right in their lives, if they're lying or they're hurting other people, they cannot face somebody of a higher energy field. They cannot. They stay away because they don't want to see themselves. They're not ready. They're just not ready to see themselves.
That's a very interesting concept. So you would say storytelling is one tool that we can influence the young and the youth of today. Any other tools that you think would help them to be more grounded?
To stable them, yes, pranayama is a brilliant one.
Yes.
Asana, hatha yoga class, because they're young, they need to move, right? So
Yeah.
hatha yoga class is great. And then yoga nidra is my favorite form of helping young people. They love it. They giggle in the beginning, always. When I first put them in yoga nidra, they giggle, but they really love it
Yeah.
because they kind of like, wow, wow, I really was so peaceful. I really was so peaceful. In fact, in a lot of my work with my clients for trauma, PTSD, I use yoga nidra. I take them back to their childhood or whatever and get them to see that broken child within them and just give that child love and say, look, you know, you didn't turn out so bad. So
Yeah.
for me, yeah, the tool is, there's so many, you know, there's so
Yes.
many, there's so
Yes.
many. There's just
There are.
music, dance, art, you know, depending on the character of the person. Like
Yes.
somebody like you, right? You love music, you love dance, you love art. So
Yes.
somebody like you, I would say, okay, your prescription this week, I want you to go home, turn on music, half an hour, get your family and dance with them. What is your favorite song? It
Thank you for
doesn't,
saying that. My husband now understands why I drag him to dance with me. Thank you. I think he gets it
yes.
now.
Oh, great, great. Exactly that. It's the best medicine. You make him laugh, you know, you're moving the body, and you're not forcing him to get into different postures that he's not comfortable. Or maybe he is your husband. My husband wasn't. Not comfortable with those things. But so you work with a medium that is for that person's character because yoga is everywhere. Tools are everywhere. God is everywhere. So uh, I know my tools, but my tools sometimes may be too much for somebody else. They can't get there yet. So
Yes.
when you meditate and you can't get there, like so many of my students tell me, you know, 20 years of meditation, I still can't get there. It's very, very discouraging. It's
Yes.
discouraging. So I say,
Yes.
no, you know, just fill your heart with love and do good, be good, and don't, you know, it's not, you're not getting anywhere. It's already inside of you.
Yes.
It's
So,
not getting anywhere. It's
Nalini,
in.
so many tools to get a person inside. And like you said, it's personality to personality. It's very dependable. So
Yeah.
how does it hit you? What, I mean, because there's so many countless tools, so many countless personalities. How do you instantly know what tool to use for what person?
You know, that's when I know I'm not the doer.
Yes.
That's when I really know I'm not the doer. And I think I tell my patients and my clients and my students that it's through working with them I've learned that you just allow. You know, my master told me many years ago when I first started, people came to me for help. I didn't even want to do this work, to be quite honest. I just wanted to be a student all my life, and I still am. You know, my master said to me when he came and visited, this is after 10 years of practicing, and I'm saying, oh, Gurudev, you know, now we've got a center, and I'm helping, I'm doing, and he looked at me, and he said, Nalini, you can help no one, help yourself. I remember crying for 5 hours. And
Oh,
my husband told me, why are you doing yoga? You cry like this?
I can feel it. I can feel his words through you. We're not the
Thank you.
doers. Thank you for letting us know. It's so true.
Was such a great lesson. Was such a great lesson. And then you don't hold the responsibility. You do your best and you realize healing is up to that person, not up to you. It's the divine connection with them. I'm just the messenger or the post person in between. That's all. I'm the instrument. And this is why, you know, I have St. Francis here in my, oh, you can't see him. May I show you St.
Yes,
Francis?
please. This is exciting.
It was just a statue of him because
Oh,
I love St. Francis and his prayer. You know, it's make me a channel of your peace. And my master said to me, no, 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 you don't say make me, you say, I am the channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is darkness, let me bring light. Where there's despair, let me bring hope. And so on and so on and so on. So, yeah, that's the prayer, you know, and I try to take these deep, deep, deep values and show what I can to the person. And of course, you have to be the example of living it too. So I just tell them I'm a normal human being, you know, I'm a householder. Can I read something to you about householder?
Yes,
Because
please.
people get very confused. They think that just because we're householders, we can't find God. And I go, hello, God is everywhere. Hello. Do you know,
They
it's,
actually think they can't find God because they're householders,
yes.
as in they're too busy to find God.
No, because they're not good enough.
Oh,
Because they're not Swami or a monk or a nun or priest. Many people think like that. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So, I got this from the Upanishads. I love this version. May I show you?
Yes,
Eknath.
please. Eknath is where.
Yes, brilliant, brilliant. He's brilliant because it's again for the 21st century, people can understand. Sometimes when you talk to people about the self, the self, the self, the self, the higher, they can't, they hear it, they love the words, but they can't, they're not yet there. Yes, correct. So they go to a lecture, oh, it's really beautiful, really. They go home, they continue with the way they are, miserable, angry, swearing, you see? It lasts for 1 or 2 days. So it's a lifetime, it's a journey, it's our journey. And it's so beautiful when you get in touch with the divine. And I always say, no, not tomorrow, today. It's a frequency. God is a frequency. And how do you get to that frequency? Yama niyama. Again, there are the tools.
We have
Where there's
them.
darkness, let me bring light. Really very simple. It really is. We complicate it so much. And here in the book, it says, to the householder, practice right conduct, learning and teaching. Be truthful always, learning and teaching. Satya. Master the passions, learning and teaching. Pratyahara, right? I'm putting uh,
The yoga
the
term.
yeah. Control the senses, learning and teaching. Again, pratyahara. Strive for peace always. That's our goal. Again, Swami Satchidananda made it very clear to me when he said, Nelanie, make peace your God. Do not even allow God to take away your peace.
That's powerful.
It's really powerful. How many people use God's name in vain? Bible. Do not use the name of the Lord thy God in vain. How many people do?
All the time.
All the time. All the time.
Yes.
So, uh, rouse Kundalini, learning and teaching. Kundalini is Holy Spirit. Serve humanity, learning and teaching. Satya Vacha says, be truthful always. Again, Satya. Tapanita says, master the passions. Master the passions. Youth today, everything is I want, I need, I have to have. Lust, greed, greed. This is the problem. And the more they have, the more miserable they are. They're not happier, right? So
Yes.
they're not happy. If it made them happy, I tell them, it made you happy.
Oh,
You just got the latest iPhone 13. Why aren't you happy? That doesn't make you happy. You know, uh,
yes.
learning, and Naka declares, learning and teaching are necessary for spiritual progress. Having taught the Vedas, the teacher says, speak the truth, do your duty, neglect not the scriptures. Give your best to your teacher. Do not cut off the line of progeny. Swerve not from the truth. Swerve not from the good, because the good brings you to the higher frequency. Protect your spiritual progress always. This is what we must do. Protect it. Or even Shankaracharya said, stay in good company. Satsang gatve nisang gatvam nisang gatve nirmo hatvam nirmo hatve jivan mukti, right? To be in the presence of satsang and then in the presence of truth. When you're in that presence, then all your attachments slip away. You get to know, like I said, the darshan comes. Give the best in learning and teaching. Never fail in respect to the sages. See the divine in your mother, father. After all, they're our first gurus. You know, we have the chant. Twameva mata cha pita twameva bandhus cha saka twameva vidya dravinam twameva sarva mama deva deva.
Thank
Thou
you.
art my mother. You know the words, right?
They're so beautiful, Nalini ji. I thank you for sharing such beautiful tidbits from. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of gems from. I mean, you're such an avid reader that there's so much to learn from you, and you know we're
There's
getting.
so much to learn in life.
So Nalini ji, can you tell us uh, what role do you see yoga playing for many of us in the future?
Oh, I think it's really vital. I think it's the most important practice in the world today. Why? Because if we have inner peace, there will be outer peace. We have to be the example. People learn best from example. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. The wise will not disturb the mind of the unwise, but instead teach them by their example. And this is why lecturing doesn't work.
Yes, set an example, like
Right.
you, like
No,
how you do for us.
we all have to do that. You know, I remember when I first started the path, and I thanked my son, Shaman, who's in Hong Kong, he was 13 at that time, because I was lecturing my husband. Oh, you need to do that. You need to be vegetarian. You know, da 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 da. You know, I thought I was God's gift to him. What a joke. He was God's gift to me. I just couldn't see it. And my son said to me, Mom, before yoga, I don't think you would be so, you know, bossy and judgmental. And you know, he just woke me up. Okay, that's another lesson I have to learn. You know,
Yeah,
Eh,
our children are such amazing teachers. Nalinichi, um, I'm so sorry. We are a few minutes into the hour, but I wish we could go on. I mean, the time has just flown, and there's so much to learn from you. Is there any final message that you'd like to give us
yeah,
before?
simply, simply forgive all the harshness in our lives. It's all a play. It really is. This body will be here into ashes. We need to look after our soul. Invest time in yourself, in nature, in the yoga. Yoga means communion with your higher self. And the easiest way is through the medium of love. It is through the medium of love and forgiveness, but not possessive love. It's love that is based on non attachment. So, my advice would be understand nothing is ours, everything is on loan. Do good, be good, simply.
Thank you, Nalini.
Thank you for
You
having
are
me.
so inspiring. It's
Thank you. Thank you.
beyond an honor to have you on this platform. Really, Nalinichi, thank you. I wish we could continue this. An hour is really too short. And dear viewers, I'm sure you all it's just not enough. But in a nutshell, Nalini has told us about forgiveness, okay, just now, and she's repeated it at the beginning and again just now. And I think this is something we can take away. Forgive others because that's forgiving ourselves. And like she said, through the medium of love, because there's no greater power than love.
No.
And that's how we feel about you, Nalini. When you talk, there's so much love. And I can feel it. I can feel it through this medium. I'm going to sleep so beautifully tonight, and as I'm sure the rest of our viewers are.
Oh, that would make me so happy. That would be, I love being a mother, a sister. I love it. I tell my students I love it. You know, I don't know how long we have this body for, but I love my job. I love people.
And
And
we
God is
feel it.
in all of us, isn't it? And the sooner we all learn just to care for each other, the better the world will be. Simply. So simple.
simply just by raising our frequency, like you said.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Nalini ji.
Thank you for the invitation.
Blessed. We
My
are
love
blessed.
to Sangeeta as well, and the lovely school that you're all in. Congratulations for the wonderful work, and thank you for inviting me. Namaste, namaste,
Thank you,
namaste.
Nalini ji. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank
Dear all, just a few words of uh, the future activities, just in a nutshell, that we are going to include. Today was a beautiful taster of what else is to come in the future. LMYC is happy to announce that apart from the English yoga classes, which we have been running for the past 25 years, many Chinese classes will be added starting this 21st of June as we celebrate International Day of Yoga. So please do go through our timetable and also try your best, everyone, to be the smile ambassador, just like Nalini ji. Be a smile ambassador, and what you can do is take the basic yoga course, and then we will give a free 300-hour upgrade to you from basic to the advanced yoga teachers training under the self social care initiative. So please say yes to Better Living, the yoga education series, and many, many more programs and workshops that will be online and offline to be offered to you. Please stay connected and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and a lot more other social medias for more updates. This video will also be on the LMYC YouTube channel for your loved ones. And please stay tuned. Our next speaker will be coming in on the 27th of June. So please stay tuned and you'll get to know who it is. I am so blessed that I got to be on this platform with you. Oh, I'm sorry, you're offline, Nalini ji. I mean, you're on mute, sorry. Oh,
And I'm so happy to meet you. I love it when young people on this path, you are our future. Really, you are our future. And live up to the teachings. You won't regret it. It'll be hard, but you face a lot of trials and tribulations, but they make you stronger. So good luck. And I'm going to leave you now. Om Shanti, 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 Shanti. Om
thank you.
Shanti. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, everyone, and goodbye, and see you next time.